Evander Holyfield ruled boxing's most violent era, but his greatest victory became his biggest burden. Imagine standing on 300 acres of rolling Georgian countryside. Then it appears, a 109-room mansion, rising like a monument to victory. This wasn't just a home. This was Evander Holyfield's kingdom. Inside the ring, he was pure force. A four-time heavyweight champion. The undisputed king of boxing's most brutal era. They didn't call him the real deal for nothing. Before the belts, before the spending, before the fall, we go back to where the legend was built and step inside the life, power, and reinvention of Evander Holyfield. Because this isn't just boxing history. It's the cost of greatness. What does it take to become a legend? To rise from streets where every step feels like a fight, every day a battle, and carve out a name that echoes long after the noise fades? Evander Holyfield was born on October 19th, 1962, in Atmore, Alabama, far from the bright lights of fame. Money was scarce. The streets were unforgiving. Discipline wasn't a choice. It was survival. And even as a boy, there was something unmistakable about him. A fire in his eyes, a relentless spark of determination that refused to be dimmed. For young Evander, the gym wasn't just a place to train. It was a refuge, a proving ground, a way out. When he stepped onto the professional stage, the world started paying attention. A bronze medal at the 1984 Olympics announced his arrival. A cruiserweight world title confirmed it. But it was in the heavyweight division, boxing's most unforgiving arena, where Holyfield truly separated himself. Here, power alone wasn't enough. Survival demanded heart. He faced giants, men who broke others simply by standing across the ring. And time after time, he stood firm. He absorbed punishment that would have ended most careers and kept walking forward, driven by faith, discipline, and an unshakable will. With greatness came reward. Millions flowed in, the tangible proof of battles won. Every possession told the same story. This was a man who had conquered the world with his fists. But every victory leaves a question behind. How does a man go from conquering opponents in front of millions to facing the quiet battles no crowd ever sees? To answer that, we step away from the ring and into the other side of Holyfield's empire. Rising from the land like a monument to dominance stands a 109-room French-style mansion, Evander Holyfield's kingdom at the height of his power. Golden light spills across polished marble floors. Velvet curtains sway beside towering windows overlooking endless green lawns. Each hallway carries the weight of ambition. An Olympic-sized pool shimmering in the distance. And tucked within it all, a fully equipped boxing gym, still whispering reminders of the fists that built this empire. Outside, the statement continued. A Lamborghini Murcielago sat with scissor doors raised, its V12 engine promising raw power. A Ferrari 360 Medina gleamed red, sleek, and restless. Rolls-Royce Phantoms lined the driveway in silent authority. A vintage 1962 Corvette stood proudly, a nod to where it all began. Mercedes SUVs and Hummers waited nearby, armored in both luxury and strength. Diamond watches caught the light. Designer suits hung untouched in immaculate wardrobes. This wasn't excess for the sake of excess. It was victory made visible. The ranch was more than a display of success. It was a sanctuary, a place of reflection, a world carefully constructed by a man who had defeated the best fighters on earth, yet still searched for victory beyond the ring. And still, beneath the polished floors and roaring engines, a question lingered. Could this kingdom, built on power, prestige, and ambition, withstand the relentless pressures of fortune, family, and fate? The rise had been dazzling, but what came next would test the very foundation of the real deal's empire. Because before the mansion, before the wealth, before the fall, there was a fighter still climbing. His professional debut wasn't just another fight. It was a declaration. In Madison Square Garden, Holyfield offered an early glimpse of the ferocity that would define him, defeating Lionel Byarm over 6 rounds. Victories followed. Eric Winbush, Fred Brown, Mark Rivera, each one quietly sharpening a reputation that would soon shake the boxing world. The legend wasn't born overnight. It was built one fight, one sacrifice, one relentless step at a time. By 1985, he had moved up to the cruiserweight division, and the world began to notice that this was no ordinary contender. His clash with Tyrone Booz marked the start of the campaign that would redefine what it meant to be a champion. With knockouts over Rick Myers, Jeff Meacham, and Anthony Davis, Holyfield was building more than a winning streak. He was constructing a legacy. Then came 1986, the year that would announce his arrival on the world stage. Against Dwight Muhammad Qawi, in a bout hailed by the ring as the best cruiserweight fight of the decade, his endurance, intelligence, and raw power shone through. 15 grueling rounds ended with a split decision that crowned him world champion. Later, in Paris, he dispatched Mike Brothers in 3 rounds, a knockout that was a prelude to his dominance. In October 1988, Holyfield defeated lineal and WBC cruiserweight champion Carlos de Leon in Las Vegas, becoming the first universally recognized world cruiserweight champion. He wasn't just winning belts, he was redefining an entire division. But destiny had bigger arenas in mind. The heavyweight division, where giants roamed, where Mike Tyson had terrorized the world, beckoned. His first foray was a knockout over James "Quick" Tillis, followed by victories over Pinklon Thomas and Michael Dokes. Each fight a study in strategy, precision, and composure. Then, in 1990, fate delivered an opening. Buster Douglas had shocked the world by toppling Tyson in Tokyo. Holyfield stepped into the ring and, with measured brutality, knocked Douglas down in the 3rd round, claiming the undisputed heavyweight crown and forever altering the course of boxing history. The 1990s brought both glory and drama. Facing George Foreman, he displayed patience and tactical genius, defeating the elder statesman over 12 rounds in what was billed as the Battle of the Ages. The stage was set for one of boxing's most storied rivalries, Mike Tyson. In 1996, he achieved what many thought impossible, defeating Tyson by TKO in the 11th round to claim the WBA title. The rematch in 1997 would become infamous as the Bite Fight, where Tyson, in a moment of chaos, bit Holyfield's ears twice. Yet even amid pandemonium, Holyfield's composure never wavered. He endured, he fought on, and he emerged victorious, etching both his courage and his resilience into history. His battles with Riddick Bowe were equally epic. In the first bout, he suffered his first major defeat, a humbling reminder that even legends must be tested. Yet he returned to the ring, overcoming Bowe in a rematch amid the surreal chaos of the Fan Man incident, where a parachutist descended into the arena mid-fight, adding an almost cinematic twist to an already legendary saga. His victories over Michael Moorer, including the rematch where he knocked Moorer down 5 times, solidified his place as the only man to win a unified heavyweight championship on 3 separate occasions. Even as age crept in, his spirit refused to fade. His comeback fights against Jeremy Bates, Frizo Quindo, and Vinny Matalone were demonstrations that skill, courage, and determination could still defy time. He pushed younger, larger, and stronger opponents to their limits, reminding the world why he was called the real deal. And yet, for all the belts, the knockouts, and the headlines, the most compelling part of Evander Holyfield's story didn't live inside the ropes. It followed him when the lights went out. At the pinnacle of human achievement in sport, Holyfield stood surrounded by everything victory promised: fame, wealth, and an empire built in his name. He soon discovered that fame and fortune strike with a force of their own. The 109-room mansion, the gleaming cars, the trophies lining every hall, all symbols of triumph, also became silent reminders of pressure, expectation, and excess. Even as the crowds continued to cheer, shadows began to creep in, threatening to reshape the legacy he had built with sweat, discipline, and steel. In 2007, whispers of performance-enhancing drugs sent shockwaves through boxing. His name surfaced in investigations into pharmacies accused of supplying steroids and HGH. Though never officially sanctioned, the details were unsettling. a prescription under a name strikingly similar to his, the same birthday, and even a phone number leading to him. Holyfield denied any wrongdoing and vowed to investigate. But the allegations cast a long shadow, a reminder that in the world of legends, perception can be as dangerous as any punch. The ring had its own controversies. Disputed decisions haunted him, from a widely criticized draw against Lennox Lewis to a trilogy with John Ruiz that left fans questioning the judging. Accusations of cheating surfaced, whispers that his headbutts were intentional, tactics some argued skirted the line of sportsmanship. Even in his bout with Nikolai Valuev, many felt Holyfield outboxed the giant, only to see victory slip through the scorecards. Each fight proved that glory in boxing is fragile, contested, and never guaranteed. Outside the ring, his battles intensified. Lavish spending on mansions, cars, and jewelry drew scrutiny, and the Georgia estate that once symbolized triumph was eventually foreclosed. With 11 children from multiple relationships, legal challenges over child support added pressure and public attention, painting a portrait of a man grappling with fame, family, and fortune. But the story was far from over. If controversy and misfortune could shadow even the mightiest champion, what would it take for Evander Holyfield to reclaim control over his life, legacy, and empire? The answer lies not just in the fists that conquered champions, but in the family, faith, and values that shaped the man behind the gloves. Outside the roar of the crowd and the glare of cameras, he built a world guided by devotion to God, to his children, and to the principles he held sacred. Through marriages and relationships that spanned decades, he sought to instill discipline, faith, and education in each of his children, often emphasizing that legacy isn't measured in wealth or fame, but in character and conviction. He married 3 times. First to Paulette Bowen, then Janice Itson, and finally Candy Calvana Smith. And while love and life didn't always endure in matrimony, his devotion to his family never wavered. On his Georgia estate, he built a chapel where he frequently hosted church services and charity events, transforming luxury into sanctuary and success into service. Through trials of love, financial hardship, and the complexities of raising a large family, Holyfield's life is a testament to endurance beyond sport. But even with faith as his anchor and family as his compass, one question lingers. In a life filled with triumph and turbulence, how does a man like Evander Holyfield navigate the next chapter, finding peace, purpose, and identity beyond the legacy of the ring? The answer lies ahead, in a story that intertwines heart, hope, and the enduring quest for meaning. After the grueling battles, the rivalries, and the comebacks, Holyfield sought one last shot at the heavyweight crown. With Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko holding the major titles, opportunities were scarce. By 2012, at 50 years old, he acknowledged the passage of time, telling reporters, "The game's been good to me, and I hope I've been good to the game. I've pretty much done everything I want to do in boxing." Yet even then, the fire in him refused to fully die, and he briefly considered one final run. Ultimately, the world stages had moved on, and after 3 more years of uncertainty, Holyfield announced his final retirement in 2014, closing the chapter on a career that spanned decades and defied odds. But retirement for Holyfield was never about stepping away. It was about stepping forward into new arenas of impact. He turned his focus to mentorship, advising heavyweight prospect Zhang Zhilei, passing down the craft, the discipline, and the mentality that had carried him to greatness. Beyond the gym, he embraced philanthropy, hosting charity events, supporting youth programs, and using his platform to uplift communities. His legacy is therefore twofold: the unforgettable moments of glory, the battles that made him a legend, and the enduring influence of a life dedicated to more than sport. It's in the lessons passed to young fighters, the joy of children inspired by his story, and the quiet, steadfast commitment to faith, family, and service. He may have hung up his gloves, but the heart of a champion, the resilience, the courage, the authenticity, remains alive, echoing far beyond any arena. Before you go, don't miss out on exclusive perks. Click the link in the description to become a channel member and enjoy awesome benefits, like suggesting future video topics, getting early access to new content 48 hours before anyone else, and much more. Your support means the world and helps us keep bringing you the stories you love. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more amazing content. And while you're here, why not check out our deep dive into Teofimo Lopez's video? Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.